Hello. And it's a bit late right now to the live audience, but whenever you'll see this recording, it'll probably be a more reasonable hour. Welcome back to Toonkind at 12 FPS. I'm the Draft House's local bootleg Sableye, AudioVizual, and I am joined here tonight by my lovely co-player.
Hi. I'm Vamp. And I'll be playing the He Who Magic Man, as I do.
And I'm going to be playing as Bon Arlo, our favorite non-binary Arakakra. Say that 3 times fast. And I'm going to be setting the scene, painting a word picture for our lovely viewers. So just sit back, relax, and let me walk you through a wonderful word picture. So it is just another day at Dodo Studios. It's not too late in the day. It's not too early in the day. Probably closer to a decent mid-morning. You know, the later people have showed up for breakfast. The earlier people have showed up for lunch. And it's probably after one of those points in the rushes of making people food, and it's quieted down ever so slightly. No one has gotten grievously blown up or injured yet. And Mersel, I'm going to make the absolutely bold and wild guess that you are in the kitchen of Dodo Studios.
Surprisingly enough, you're right. I can't possibly phantom. Wow, that's like so unlikely. You'd be more likely to get hit by lightning.
And while you are in the kitchen, deciding to head anywhere after this break, you know, in the rush, you know, because it's been kind of a busy morning, and you know, up early, but there's always that point in the morning where you really just want to go back to bed.
Yeah, he's like the kind of person that would start climbing the walls if he doesn't have something to do or work towards. But also lunch rushes. And he's just like standing there in the kitchen for a bit, like after like having done everything he had to do, and like he has like quite some time before he has to go back and like work on dinner. So he's debating on who he should hang out with, who he should seek out. And his thoughts stray to a certain owl, mostly because he's not sure that Bon has actually eaten at all today.
I mean, that's an excellent question. Unfortunately, Marcel, Bon isn't in the kitchen area, and you didn't see them during the lunch rush. So for you to find out, you have to go looking.
Yep. And looking he does. He just leaves the kitchen, locks it behind him because he's learned his lesson after the first few times, and, well, heads straight to the infirmary.
Okay. Do you want to, just as a treat, do you want to roll perception?
Of course, just for you. That's a treat.
As a treat.
Oh my god. Okay, that's the fun then.
Yeah, Marcel, you perceive. So the door to the office that Bon usually resides in is open, and the sort of like blinds to the main window you can look in from the hallway is open. And you see inside, Bon is sort of shuffling around and doing their usual thing. There was an owl on one of the cots that they sort of shuffle out the door. And Marcel, are you just sort of striding down the hallway? Do you look like you're on a mission? Do you look like you're just chill?
I mean, I would say that, like, if you don't know him very well, he looks chill. He looks fine. If you don't know him, then like you know that you're just like, oh, click that clicking, clacking of his heels, the look on his face. He's on a mission, all right?
I'm gonna have, again, Bon has a passive perception of 19, so I'm just gonna say, yeah, they probably notice you're coming. I'm going to have them roll insight to see if they can pick up your vibes. That's a 15. Do you think the vibes are picked?
I am going to do something.
Awesome.
Yep, the vibes aren't picked.
They are not picked with that 18 deception, I'm guessing. Yeah. So Bon, none the wiser of you on the mission, Mersel, simply sort of like gives you a wave and like bumps their door open a little wider for you. So they turn and they head back inside without giving you much of a second look, because it's like, yeah, on occasion you would stop by, and they are, again, none the wiser.
Yeah. And he follows Bon in, like, he just follows Bon in and shuts the door behind him. Like, it shuts with a kind of ominous click.
Do you say anything?
Hey, Bon, hey, good morning.
Good morning, kiddo. What's shaking? You didn't have anything happen during lunch rush?
Oh no, nothing. It was surprisingly quiet. I think everyone's busy filming StarCross. But yeah, it was really quiet actually. I didn't see much people. He's looking at Bon now, like he's side-eyeing Bon, and he's just, I didn't see anyone. I didn't even see you there at lunch rush.
So I'm gonna actually have Bon roll wisdom, to see if they actually ate. That's a 19. Okay.
I will say to make you do that on a disadvantage, just because it's not really like the best.
You know what? Yes, I will have them roll at disadvantage because canonically they've been having a fucking week. Okay, that's a 12. So they look at you, Mersel, and there's like a moment of comprehension, and you see their like gaze flicker over to their desk, and you can see like there is some sort of like bag of like trail mix or something on their desk that like looks like it has been munched on, but you know, that's a bag of trail mix that isn't even finished. I don't think that counts as breakfast.
He looks at the trail mix, and then he just looks at you, Bon. He just looks at you. And like again, Bon might be much wider than Cell is, but like Cell is still taller than Bon, especially with heels. So it's just like you're faced with this. I'm not angry. I'm just disappointed. Look.
You see Bon's feathers sort of like fluff up and rustle. And for a moment, they look like they would be defensive, and then they sort of pause and kind of deflate, and they nod their head and they sigh, and they're like, yeah, it's been a bit of a week or two, kid. I won't blame you for getting on my case.
Well, at least you ate the trail mix. That's better than what I expected. He's going to walk over and like, if the trail mix bag is open, he's going to like taste a bit.
There's a lot of bird seed in there, like sunflower seeds and like sesame, like all sorts of like seeds, and like, you know, again, Bon is a bird. It's a high bird seed content in this trail mix.
Cell chews and it's like, not bad.
And
I'm not stressed. Like Cell has eaten grass before. Like I'm pretty sure like sesame seeds or sunflower seeds in this mix isn't going to like really affect him none.
Bless. And Bon just sort of nods along, and they're like, "Yeah, it's decent. I would offer you some, but I think that's my last bag." All right, you caught me. You've caught me red-handed. What are you gonna do now, kid?
What my job, I suppose. And he reaches up and like takes his hat off, and I'm just gonna. Yep, that's a tree. He takes out like nothing too like fancy, because again this is like Bond. I'm pretty sure at this point he's like, yeah, like yeah, nothing too extravagant or like too sweet or anything. He just takes out like what seems to be a loaf of bread.
Hell yeah. Birds
Like,
love bread.
yeah.
Let's get this bread.
This is specifically like bread that's still like warm from the oven, so you can like smell it from where you're standing. And specifically, it's sourdough bread.
Hell yeah. Sourdough's amazing.
Yep.
Bon looks cheered by this, honestly. And yeah, it's like they're genuinely happy to like, yes, bread, actual food. That sort of vibe whenever you smell something that smells really good and you don't realize how hungry you'd been until you smell that.
Yeah. Like Sol just takes out this loaf of bread, and like he looks around for somewhere he can set it down now.
Bon probably clears like a spot off their desk and like moves some paperwork aside. And I will just give this to you for free. There are notably less coffee cups hanging around Bon's desk than you probably had seen earlier on in the time of period where you had known Bon before. And that's just a fun little fact for you. And Bon clears a nice little spot for Sel to put the bread.
And Sel takes out a knife from his sourdough, like, a knife, and starts cutting the loaf of bread. And you can tell, again, that it's like very well made and just fresh from the oven, because it has that crispiness, and like when he starts cutting, like you can hear it crackling.
Hell yeah. Like Bon has definitely like perked up, and they're not hovering, but it's definitely a case of they're waiting politely for bread, please.
I'm gonna roll perception, or I guess insight.
Please roll either. Roll whatever makes you happy.
That's a 9.
That's a 9. He is also excited about bread. Everyone is excited for bread.
Hell yeah. Like, eventually he does like finish cutting, and I imagine he'd give like Bon a few slices and keep some for himself, because he also needs to eat.
And so like Mersel, you hand Bon this bread, and they start very carefully like tearing it into smaller pieces and popping it into their mouth. And I will say Bon doesn't make a habit of eating with like other people, because it's like via Toon logic, like the other birds in the studio can kind of do the miming, the chewing thing, even though birds technically aren't supposed to have teeth. And Bon, being real kind, cannot perform this maneuver. So it involves a lot of Bon pops this in their mouth, and then they do like a fun little head bob, and then they go and they pop more in their mouth. But they're doing this in front of you, and they probably eat like 2 slices, taking it like fairly slow, to savor the bread and also not make themselves sick. And then they wipe one of their hands off, sort of like on their shorts, and they reach over and very carefully like fiddle with your hair a little, Mersel, like in the fashion of it probably was hanging over your face a little, and now Bon is kind of like tucking it behind your ear.
And Sel is like eating his bread here. Like you can pretty much tell that he's he's taking his lunch break here in the infirmary. Like he's taking his lunch break with you, and his hat is still like set aside on the floor from when he reached into it to get the bread in the first place. So yeah, you have like full reign of his hair. He honestly doesn't even like react when you do that. He's so used to people playing with his hair.
I'm going to have Bon roll a thing. They aren't actually proficient in this, so we're going to see how well it goes. That's a 6. Okay. So Bon, not so subtly, takes a stray feather out from one of their like pockets, sort of like a feather they had like preened off themselves at one point and like stuck in their pocket to get rid of later. It's not like a messy one, but it's just like definitely a stray feather. And they reach over and they not so subtly like sort of tuck it into your hair.
And Sal blinks and looks up at like the feather. Actually, hold on. Let me just roll something to see if he even notices.
He
Yeah,
notices.
yeah, he notices. He notices.
19.
He pauses in like eating, and he notices the feather that Bon is tucking into his hair, and he opens his mouth, perhaps to say something, and then he just shrugs and like continues eating his sourdough bread.
Amazing.
I
So oh, you're good.
oh sorry. I think he would like in between bites. He would go. I hope you don't mind if I take my lunch break here.
I don't know. I sure seem to be busy. And then they very like not subtly like look around at the empty infirmary.
So chuckles a bit under their breath and takes another bite. Isn't that a good thing?
I mean, you would think, but then it's also like, then you get the many people who come in at once, and it's usually like someone has a paper cut and they don't want to deal with it, and someone has stubbed their toe and they expect me to somehow deal with it. But, you know, he's quiet for now, and that's enough.
Well, with any luck, you won't have much patience today.
And Bond sort of gives a contemplative noise. And they sort of, like, their feathers sort of fluff up for a second and smooth out. And they give you a glance, Sil, and they're like, it would be the surefire way to make sure that no one made any of these problems my problem for at least your lunch break.
Oh, what?
I mean, we could always, skip work for a bit.
Cell actually like Cell's chuckle, like actually like not even a chuckle, he snorts. I'm pretty sure that if I did that, the studio would starve.
Oh, let them perish, kid.
I can't do that. What would Tobias think of me?
I mean, they can call you, right? If anything really ends up on fire that isn't the engineer, they can always give you a phone call, and then you can tell me. And whenever everyone inevitably starves to death, I can just take my time, bringing them back onto their feet. I have spare the dying. It'll be fine.
He looks like he's contemplating this. Like he actually looks like he's contemplating this, and you hear him mumble under his breath. Well, the engineer does eat glow sticks, and I do still have leftovers in the fridge. Roll persuasion.
Oh yeah, okay. Persuasion. Let's persuade the star boy. That's a 17. Will 17 do it?
Yeah, 17 does it. Like you see him like waffle for a bit, and then he just all right, it's fine. I do still have food left in the pantry. they can deal with that, and we'll hopefully come back before it's actually dinner time.
Yeah, now you got the spirit, kid. I mean, worst comes to worst, I'm sure we could probably call Bob, and Bob could probably, I mean, you taught him to make pancakes once, right? That's what I heard from the burning smell I smelled the other day.
Oh yeah, I taught him how to make pancakes. I don't think that burning smell was Bob though. He's actually gotten pretty good at it. I think that might have just been Jack.
Oh, maybe he'll singe his fluffy little tail. All right, let's blow this popsicle stand.
Yeah, all right. And actually, hey, does Bon still have bread in his hands? Like, is he taking another bite of bread?
They probably, yeah, they probably have like a few like tidbits left.
If Bon takes another bite, like Sal's gonna wait until Bon does as he stands up, and then he's just like in the most innocent voice possible. So, how are things going with Bob?
I'm going to have Bon roll a thing, and it's not what you think. Okay. Let's see how this goes. Okay. Okay. So that was a charisma. It wasn't a saving throw. It was sort of a just a let's see how this goes, huh? We'll call it a deception because that's a nat 20.
Oh boy.
Bon just completely unflappable Bon. Just like takes and swallows their bite, and they're like, Bob's been doing his own thing. God's kid, you won't believe. I haven't talked to Bob recently, but you know who I have been talking to?
Who?
Gil.
Oh.
Just the driest deadpan.
Oh, Gil? I mean,
Yeah.
I guess that makes sense. I mean, Bonlock's staying with you?
Yeah, Bonlock's staying with me. He's, oh gods, that's a trip and a half. But I did speak to Mom, if you'll call it speaking. Bill did something the other day, and I'm surprised Tobias hasn't told you. And Bond starts sort of heading out of their office and like pulling their keys out to like lock it up behind them and like flip the healer is in sign to the healer is out, get the peck out.
So like blinks for a few moments and then he's like heading after Bond like, hey, wait. What are you talking about? You can't just say that and leave.
Oh, it was the wildest freaking thing, kid. I was walking through the park the other day, and you know, Bob was there with Rad, and Tobias was there, and there was a couple of these random kids, and Gil comes streaking into the park carrying these potions, and that crazy little peck neck turned us all into kids, and the kids into adults. And that was a wild way to spend the afternoon.
He processes that like he's fallen into snap next to you, and you literally see like the dot form above his head before he's just. So, all of you were turned to kids. Did this include Gil?
Yeah, he was so funny that Bond sort of like they sort of scratch the back of their neck and their feathers sort of rustle. So whenever we got turned into kids, the unfortunate side effect of wherever Gil picked that potion up from is we couldn't really remember being adults. So I didn't know Common or Grolix, so me and Trill spent most of the afternoon planning an escape in Primordial and Oran.
Oh my stars, that's so cute.
We were going to cause Rad he got turned into an older version of himself, and I have never met a Toon who sounded more like a radio announcer than Rad did. And we were going to kidnap Rad and Tobias and Bob.
I would say that I find that surprising, but quite honestly, no, I'm not. I'm not surprised at all. Although then I would expect that of Gil, but you kidnapping 3 people?
Look, I have layers, and Bond gives you like a mischievous, very like haughty, like fun little I do crime look. Definitely something you would have seen on Gil.
He snorts again at that, like he's just. You've been spending too much time with Gil.
Oh, almost certainly. But and you guys are probably like walking out of the studio now, past like the front desk and stuff, and going through that whole hullabaloo with the ID cards and whatever. But they reach into their satchel and pull out a little seashell. Tobias gave me this, and they show it to you.
Oh my stars, Tobias! He would have been a kid too, wouldn't he?
He was.
What was he like? Oh my stars! Oh my stars! Was he tiny?
He was so small, kid, and apparently he's from Evershore, which I didn't know because he was asking about the courts, which was interesting, and he wasn't wearing shoes.
Yeah, he's from Evershores, but well, that sounds adorable though.
I kept putting feathers in his hair.
Oh, like this, and he tucks on like the feather in his hair.
Yeah, I don't think he noticed though. Oh, he had a bird's nest of hair.
What did you? Did you just?
Oh, did I just what?
He looks a few seconds away from shoving you off the sidewalk and onto the street.
Oh, and Bond sort of like very gently knocks into Mersel with their wing, just more of like a very determined flutter of feathers against his side.
All right, you better repay me with more details for that atrocious pun.
Oh gods. Bob was even smaller than Tobias, I'm going to be real. And he had Rad Rad was carrying him the whole time. And he stole a book at one point. That was interesting.
I'm so proud of him. We've been a bad influence, haven't we?
I feel like Bob is he has the backbone of a chocolate eclair. It's crime is fun and easy, and sometimes you just gotta. It doesn't help that the librarian was a bit catty.
Well, I can't tell if that was another pun. and I'm just going to pretend like it isn't. How would it have even worked though? Bob was never a kid.
I feel like that was definitely something from the potion. Like a little I don't even know it was really supposed to be. I bet if you asked one of them, they still have the label rustling around in their hammer space. Him or Bill.
Oh my gosh.
And then Gil was also a lot of fun. Me and him. Oh, I think we freaked one of the kids out going back and forth in Bird Noises and Primordial, which is always a delight to the ears.
Primordial, huh? Can't say I know that language.
Bill knows it, which is interesting.
Maybe I should talk about that sometime. Who knows, maybe you would be willing to teach me.
I don't know. It was definitely useful because Rad thought playing Birdsong on his radio would help. And let me tell you, birds are shit conversationalists.
What were they saying? What was Rad telling you?
Nothing repeatable on our PG-13 server.
And he just starts cackling, like straight up. And I don't really know if Bon's ever heard him laugh like that hard. Because when he laughs like really, really hard, like his laugh changes from like a regular like chuckle or like a regular snort to like a full blown like evil sounding cackle.
Bon is doing absolutely like their usual very dry, high, raspy bird cackle. I'm not going to blow anyone's ears out because I kind of have been doing it, but they're absolutely just like looking at Mersel in absolute delight. And I would like to say, the narrative reasons that Bon actually takes you to one of those like outdoor cafes where it's got like seating outside and stuff. You know, one of those nice little coffee shops. And they're still definitely laughing with Mersel, even as they sort of like direct him towards this cafe. And okay. What do you want for lunch, kid?
Oh, well, I'm honestly quite full on sourdough.
Yeah. I mean, you could get some real food.
Well, I guess I'll have a sandwich and maybe a chocolate milkshake.
And Bon nods, and they look at like the menu for a minute, and they're like, I think I'll have heard there are these things called paninis people like to make. Wasn't there a whole you know what, I think I'll try one of those or something. And to no one's surprise, well, actually, let's do a fun little dice roll. To your surprise, instead of coffee, Bon orders a like bubble tea.
I would say that he would now normally, in normal circumstances, he would goggle at that. But the second you say the word panini, like he's actually like looking away and has pulled the brim of his hat over his eyes, and his shoulders are shaking. Roll inside.
Awesome. I will absolutely, out of character, say I never ended up watching those FPSs where y'all were arguing over paninis. But
You heathen.
17. I know they're funny, and I know I had to do it.
All right, 17. Bon, you turn your head and you see Mersel doing that, and you immediately peg on that. Oh, for some reason, the mention of paninis has him like 2 seconds away from losing his shit laughing.
Bon doesn't know why exactly them ordering a panini is like killing Mersel, but they're amused. But they don't say anything, but they sort of give him like a very like amused, fond look. And then you know, like at some places how they'll have like the paper kid menus with crayons and stuff.
Yeah.
Bon actually pulls out one of those and like pulls out like the packet of crayons, and they start idly doodling on like the blank side. And they're like, so you've heard about my recent escapades. How have you been, kiddo?
Oh, well, real insight?
Teen.
All right, with a 13, I can give you. When you said recent escapades, like he something did cross his mind there, and he did look like he was about to say something, but then like he remembered something else, and instead of what he was originally going to say, he has now said, "Well, I did go to Ghibli, and I did meet Lucky Jack there, but nothing very eventful happened besides us cleaning out the carnival."
You cleaned out a carnival?
Yeah. In fairness, the carnival did deserve it.
Yeah. What kind of luck did it take for you to clean out a whole carnival? A dead man's luck?
No, it just needed a little help from our patrons, I suppose.
Mm.
And I did get something really cool in that carnival, though.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, and here he taps like on his like around his wrist area, and Bon, you notice for the first time that Sal's wearing bracers. He's wearing like blue and gold bracers with like star patterns on them. Hold on, I have an actual picture. You just didn't notice because they're actually pretty close in shade to his sleeves.
Oh, they're very fancy. Bon is giving him a look over, definitely curious over what those could be.
They're actually magical bracers. I've just been using them to store my daggers. He demonstrates by pulling one out by the hilt, and like the blade gleams under the little light of the cafe. But I actually don't know what these do yet. They look like they're patterned after my patron, which I suppose is a stroke of luck. But I'm not quite sure what they do. I haven't gotten a chance to test these daggers out on anyone yet.
Well, as much as I would love to offer my expertise after you stick someone, maybe best to find a artificer or one of those fancy armor specializations, you know, to give them a look over.
Oh,
Or at least you can take them off, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. They aren't cursed or anything. He takes them off.
Mm-hmm.
I actually didn't think of that. Thanks, Bon. I'll make sure to ask Bob and Splenda about it sometime.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of patrons, though, and Bon taps one of the crayons on the tabletop. I was talking to Sandy the other day about. They were talking about like clerics and paladins and stuff like that. I bet you you know about, who was it? well, shit, now I don't remember. Bon was talking to someone about deity stuff. I can't remember if it was Bonlock or Sandy.
That's
or someone else entirely.
Would you help audio out?
Does anyone in the great beyond remember who Bon was talking to about gods and theology? Because audio, Sandy. Was it Sandy? Okay. It came up in conversation the other day about the like Sandy not knowing anything about gods, but I couldn't remember if Bonlock, because I know Bonlock had a conversation with Bon about gods briefly. Okay. But Bon taps the countertop with their Quran, and they're like, Sandy was wondering about gods and stuff the other day, and well, they do know about good old Stacey. Now I'm picking up her nickname. You know about the more, and they wave with the crayon in like a circular motion. Einquell gods, right? I didn't really ever bother.
Oh. Oh, well, yeah. Sol kind of rubs the back of his neck sheepishly. Well, yeah, I studied this kind of things a lot when I was younger. This and a lot of other magic stuff. So yeah, I would say that I know quite a lot.
I mean, if well, you know, Sandy has questions, so I figured besides my Aarakocra Death God and Gil's friend ever Psychopomp, we could stand to introduce her into some quote unquote more classical deities,
Well, he's looking down on the table and kind of like tapping his fingers a bit. Well, I definitely wouldn't mind teaching her about the deities.
Yeah, just, you don't have to go out of your way to do it, but she does have questions, and I figure, I might as well send her to someone who actually knows and doesn't just hand her a book and say, get a reading.
Well, I'll try my best to answer her questions, but Einquell has a lot of deities. Even I don't remember them all.
Bon gives you like a genuine sort of like happy, smiling look, and they're like, "Hey, it's the thought that counts, kid. We can't teach Sandy everything, but we can always give her something to work off of,
I know, and I suppose it would be better to hear it from me than ever seek it out from other sources. Deities can be,
yeah. But yeah. What do you know? What kind of? Do you know what Jack was even doing in Ghibli?
Oh, for the same reason that I was in Ghibli, actually. Apparently he was on vacation.
Oh?
Yeah, the both of us were.
You definitely deserve a vacation, kid. I've seen a fraction of the shenanigans you've been tugged into. And did you have a good time at least?
Here he brightens and like it's genuine. He's very happy. Like he looks very happy actually, and he grins and he's like, "Oh yeah, I actually had an amazing time. Like after the carnival, like we decided to stick together because well, we already knew each other, and I wanted to show them around Ghibli because I've been there before multiple times, and well, it was very fun. He actually bought me something too. I told him he didn't have
Oh.
to, but he went back to the store after we've left and tore up the receipt when I told him he didn't have to, so I would have to keep it.
What did he get you?
And Sal reaches into his hammer space and he pulls out like, have you guys ever seen like the paper kites from Japan?
Oh, yeah.
He pulls out like one of those very big ones, and it's like a blue and gold dragon.
It just comes out of his hat and just unfolds.
Yeah, that's literally how it goes. Like you just like pulls and then it keeps pulling and pulling and pulling. It's like one of those magic tricks where you pull ribbons out of your hat or your sleeve.
Mm-hmm. And Bon actually gives like a very like appreciative like trilling whistle as you pull this out, and they very carefully like actually with like the backs of their fingers instead of like, you know, the actual talony part, they like gently like sort of run their finger across some of the like more decorated part. Wow, fancy.
Yeah, I didn't I well, I did look at it at the window for a bit, I suppose, but I really didn't expect him to get it.
Well, I mean, sometimes you have to buy, you know, sometimes you got to get yourself something nice and frivolous. And Bon sort of like does a flip of their scarf, and it has like little tiny kitty cats on it. As sort of a, yes, this is my odd purchase I have done for myself. It's a scarf with cats on it.
Sal's looking at the scarf and like he thinks for a few seconds, and then you see him like kind of snap his fingers and go, "Oh, that actually reminds me. I do have something for you."
If it, whenever you roll hammer space, go ahead and roll insight.
Okay, let me roll insight first then. 4, he sees nothing. Can I the player know?
I will say, it's probably I will narratively say the reason Mersel probably didn't notice is, of course, he had the moment of, oh yeah, I remembered something, and then immediately went to go get it. But Mersel, what you don't notice is you say that you have something for Bon, and Bon goes through like sort of a series of emotions, where it's a surprise, disbelief, like a genuinely touched look on their face, and then it sort of like settles into like Bon's usual look, and their feathers have like floofed up a bit, and they lean over the table a little over their drawing that they're working on, and they're like, "Oh, you have something for me, kid?"
Yeah. Hold on, I got souvenirs for everyone. Where was it? And he pulls out what seems to be a book, and it's a book that it's not a book that Bon would recognize, but as he hands it to Bon, if Bon like flips it open and looks through it, like it seems to be a book on like the various herbs and remedies like centered in the Ghibli Empire.
I will give this to you for free, Marcel. Bon's eyes go wide, and they start like carefully like thumbing through the book, and like, you know, they're very definitely like looking at everything, like trying to get like a grasp on how much information is here. And this is definitely a very good gift to give Bon, because they actually do like do stuff with like poultices and alchemy and shit like that to make this sort of thing.
I hope that this is actually what I think it is. Medicine flies straight over my head, I'm afraid.
This is wonderful. This is wonderful. This is an excellent gift, Mersel. Thank you. And Bon very tenderly shuts the book and brings it close to their chest a moment and sort of hugs it there before tucking it away into their satchel with care.
Right, for a second there, I forgot that Bon didn't have a hammer space.
Yeah, Bon can just pull things out, you guys. They don't need to roll.
I know! That's so, shocking. I mean, Cell could have if he had kept his bag of holding, but he decided to sell it because fuck that bag. He's going to sell it out of spite. He's going to sell it out of spite, and then he used the money to treat himself very nice. So fuck Kyle. Take that, you asshole.
Yes, we love to see it. But yeah, Bon tucks the book away, and they give you another genuine soft fond look, and they go back to sort of what they're drawing on this kids menu, and they actually have one of their arms in front of it, sort of whenever you put your arm around a picture and you lean over it so people can't necessarily just look and see what you're drawing.
And Sal's curious, but he's not going to pry. So he's just going to look around the cafe for a little bit before looking back at Bon. And he's kind of resting his cheek on his hand for a moment and going, actually, on the topic of patrons, I don't think you ever told me who your patron was.
Oh, I don't think I have introduced you to Stessie. They've told me about you, though. Bless your heart, kid. So my patron is the Air Cochrane god of death, Aestes, and they sort of do a few pointed swirling motions with the crayon where you can't see. They are very chatty. I've been to my apartment. I've given you a key. You haven't kicked down my door, but I have an altar for them there. They sort of function as they hold the paperwork to whenever anyone passes. Sort of fun paperwork bullshit. They're a real delight.
Well, yeah, they do sound very interesting. What did you mean when you said they've told you about me?
Bond sort of gives they look down at the paper and huff a laugh, and then they look up at you. Gods are fickle things, as you know. Aestes is they have a very flaw in their guises. They have one eye of orange and one eye of green, and they always have the marking of the gold coin upon their forehead. I don't suppose that sounds familiar. You've run into them before.
Okay, roll something.
Yeah, roll for it. Roll for it, Mersel.
23, okay.
23, yeah.
Yeah, he definitely remembers talking to an owl that looks something like that, coin on their forehead, one eye of orange, one eye of green.
Yep. Yeah, probably, definitely you've seen on occasion around the studio an owl not with like a coin on their head, but like a pale marking on their forehead and dual colored eyes. And, you know, they may like stop and chatter at you about something and then just walk away, you know. And just sort of like that casual, you know, coworker conversation. Um, and Bon is sort of giving you a look of just like bemusement.
One can see like the moment like Cell realizes, because the moment he does, like his face changes, and then he just buries his head in his hands, and you hear him saying very muffled, "Oh, stars."
Bon reaches over and like very gently pats your shoulder, Marcel, and they're like, yeah, ASTs is well, I suppose the closest analog I would have is very happy parental figure. You guys don't exactly use broods or nests, so but yeah, basically AST's heard from me down the grapevine about me taking several of you under my wing. And they don't have a lot of power on this plane, but they can drop in every once in a while.
I well, that's good. That's good.
Don't worry about it. They don't do anything to interfere with mortal lives. If anything, they've reassured me that you're gonna have a nice, decently long one, kid. So don't worry about it.
I never really worried about it, but I suppose the confirmation is nice.
Oh, yep. And Bond like pulls their hand away and starts doodling again. That's some of the fun things about being a cleric of ASDs. They give you lots of fun pieces of information like that. There are, of course, the lesser side effects of knowledge like that, but it's a nice day out. There's no need to talk about that sort of thing.
Mm, yeah, well, they sound nice. I hope, well, I suppose I have met them already, but I hope that I'll be able to meet them properly one day, I guess.
They're a real chatterbox. Don't I wouldn't go into that conversation expecting anything but cryptic and very enthusiastic talkiness to chatter your ear off. Tune logic besides.
And some nods. And if you listen really closely, Bon, you could swear that you hear him say, never have I ever is going to be. Oh, come on.
The food probably shows up during this point of like the pause in the conversation, you know, very thematically appropriate. And on looks at the server as they put this food down and the drinks down, and they look at their drawing and they do a few more scribbles, and then they tuck the crayons away in their bag and actually fold the paper in half and slide it across the table to you.
Oh, what's this?
It's for you.
He picks the paper up and slowly starts to unfold it, like very carefully.
So Bon is not exactly what you would call a professional artist, but whenever you unfold it, Marcel, it is actually a really nice looking picture of you and Tobias and Primrose. And it's clearly been sort of done from memory because it isn't perfect, but it's still an actually pretty nice picture. And it's like you guys are chilling on like one of the break room couches at Dodo Studios.
Okay, hold on. Like he this did. Oh wow, this is just like oh wow, emotions, huh? Like roll inside.
Okay. That's a 22.
Yeah, that's the 22. Like, and it's not like he's hiding it. Like his hair has done the Kipling fluff thing, and you actually see his eyes snap open and widen, and like he's looking at that picture. Like he has just a very soft expression on his face as he's looking at that picture. Like he's holding it very like gently too. And he folds it like he carefully folds it up again and he actually doesn't slip it in his hammer slice. He slips it like on the in between like behind the band like on his hat if that makes sense. Like he tucks it in there.
Mm-hmm.
I what I you're an amazing artist.
Nah, give me some acrylics or paints and I can do better than that. But it, I mean, I don't know. It's a hobby. I've been doing it a while.
Well, it doesn't change the fact that this is very nice. Thank you, Ron.
Um, Bon reaches across the table and very gently, very gently, like patch your head, sorta, and like leans back, and they're like, yeah, kid, don't worry about it. Sometimes you just gotta do something nice for people you care about, you know?
Yeah, I know. And he kind of leans into the pet for a moment before he kind of playfully pokes your hand and goes, "Why do you think I keep coming to your infirmary with food?"
You got me there, kiddo. And they actually flick your nose very lightly, and they're like, eat your lunch before we really do have to go resuscitate someone.
Like when you boop his nose, like his face like scrunches up. You know exactly the kind of expression I'm talking about. His face scrunches,
Yeah.
and like he actually goes cross-eyed, like to look at the finger on his nose.
Oh. Oh, gods, you guys just keep doing shit that reminds me why exactly Bon is ride or die for these fucking kids. But like Bon gives like very much a like a little chitter noise, and they lean back and they like pop the straw of their tea into their beak, and you watch them slurp up some some fucking boba pearls. And they go pop, pop, pop. Because yes, we must all sometimes sate the urge to eat tadpole eggs in the form of boba pearls.
It's funny you say that because Sal legitimately says that. Like he goes, Shark's Kid would say that people drink boba who satisfy the urge to slurp tadpoles through a reed.
You know, you never quite lived, kid, until you've taken an egg and you've slurped the yolk out of that. That is the most visceral tadpole slurping experience you will ever have.
Well, I've never slurped a tadpole egg, but I've eaten a raw egg.
Don't eat tadpoles. They wiggle too much on the way down. That is my advice.
And he's like looking at Bon and like he's debating whether he should ask. You see the moment where he's like, you know what, Sandy eats rocks, engineer eats glue sticks. Like, all right, sure. Well, this might as well happen. Dude, the studios is already so goddamn weird.
No one has healthy eating habits. No one has healthy eating habits.
I know, and he's just standing here. Like when Bond suggested that like cooked pancakes for dinner, like he hit it well, but Sal was dying inside.
Bon is slurping up their not tadpole eggs or anything, boba tea, and they are just grinning at Marcel as they do this and are like definitely very carefully like popping these boba tea pearls like they are like just pop in their mouth very deliberately, just loud enough for Marcel to hear.
As Bond's doing that, like Sal squints at him, squints at him and like pouts, and then like he grins, and then he props his like chin on his hands, and he leans forward, and he grins mischievously. And as Bond goes to suck another quote unquote tadpole through his straw, he goes, "So, well, I know you and Bob haven't talked recently, but are you guys dating?"
Oh my god. Marcel, why must you do this? Just gonna oh shit, I forgot the D. That's a 4. Bond gives you like I'm actually going to take this a certain way. Bond gives you a look and just gives you a look, and then they sort of like pause and set their tea down, and they're like, I don't know him very well, but I'm pretty sure Bob has a boyfriend named Ross, and I know you and Tobias and Primrose have something going on, but being an adult of this situation, it's Bond just sort of like is at a loss for words here, because it's sort of like yes, I don't know, like it's not obvious to them that they ever had to anyone else that they would have had a crush on Bob, but it's also very much from a practical standpoint, Bob has a well-established boyfriend, and then Bond's over here vibing, stealing his like siblings / children from under here, and they're just vibing, my dude.
Like
Bond has no idea that they would ever appeal to anyone like that.
Sal's just like looking over like their milkshake to Bond, like to Bond's direction, but as Bond says that, he actually does put it down and like, well, have you even asked?
Kid, Starboy kid, Marcel. I like to think maybe in another life it would be something to explore, but I'm kid. I am oh kid. It's a nice day. Let's not think about the limitations of and grief and all of the processes and mortality and things like that. Let's just you enjoy your milkshake. I'll enjoy my boba tea. And it's everything is fine the way it is. I like Bob well enough, yeah. I don't know, kid. I don't know.
Well, all right. I won't say anything further. He sighs. But if it's worth anything, that was exactly what I thought when I saw Tobias and Primrose and how they interacted with each other on our little field trip.
Oh, yeah. It's Bon sort of listlessly, like, slowly moves their drink in circles to make the pearls swirl around. Kid, I don't know. Maybe, but I mean, think about it this way as well, right? I have a whole life outside of the studio, kid. It's not just about the engineer and DJ moves and everyone who works there and everyone involved with Dodo Studios. Bob is always going to be one of the first people who actually made working at Dodo Studios worth it, but I don't know, kid. I don't know. There's a lot you guys don't know about me. There's a lot. And I don't know if it's better that way or not, but I'm happy with the way things are right now for as good as it gets me. And I'm pleased as a fucking pink flamingo to have you and Bonlock and Sandy and Gil, and it's enough, you know. I'm happy like this.
In the interest of not breaking my promise and not talk about this any longer today, I'm not going to argue. It looks like it pains him to say that, and you are again reminded that even though Cell isn't like yelling it from the rooftops, you are again reminded that he is a warlock of the wishing star and he is all about working towards something. And he is all about not being satisfied with what you have.
Mm-hmm. Bon takes a drink, and Bon looks at Marcel, and Bon gives a duck of the head and a huff of a laugh, and they're like, "Tell you what, kid. Tell you what. I have depths to beyond Bon Arlo, Dodo Studios' real kind Arakakra healer. And you clearly want to pursue this little matter. We can come back to it at some point. You know, I'm not gonna stop you from haranguing me about this, but oh, kid. And Bon sort of leans back. I don't know. Maybe me and Bob and Ross will work out. Maybe I'll find a dashing whoever to steal me away from my loneliness and hopeless crush. Oh, we'll play it by ear. It's life is just one big adventure, isn't it? Until you die. And then it's just a different kind of adventure.
You're right. You're right. Well, I guess we have to go back now, or the studio actually will probably burn down the kitchen without the both of us.
Damn. And Bon Bon sort of shakes their head and ruffles their feathers. All right. Lay it on me, kid. Who do you think's going to be on fire whenever we come back?
He leans forward conspirationally. I would say Jack, but Jack's actually pretty good in getting out of trouble unscathed.
It's a fool's bet to we're gonna absolutely discount the engineer because he spends half of his time on fire. I
will say someone who I will say it has to be someone who would break down the door before I get back, and it will have to be someone who has enough hubris to try cooking on their own before I get back.
That's half the studio. I'll say whoever it is, I bet Primrose is going to kick down the door and yell, presumably to you about the whole situation.
And I'll bet that Bob is either going to be there with a fire extinguisher or a bit away drinking coffee.
All right. And Bon reaches their hand out for you to like clap to seal the seal. The deal is now brokered.
And he does. He takes your hand and you guys shake on it.
And Bon actually pays the tab, because that's something important to account for. Don't want to do crimes, kid.
Yeah.
Until it's fun.
On the way back to the studio, actually, as they're walking, Sal actually kind of pauses a little. Like not in step, he's still walking, but like there's like this quiet silence, like quite comfortable silence before. So Miss Vega told me something interesting the other day.
Oh?
Yeah, she's playing with the sleeves. She told me that she saw me as a son.
Yeah? Does she?
Yeah, she did. I thought you were messing with me when you wrote her down as one of my emergency contacts.
Oh, kid, I joke about a lot of things, but I don't joke about stuff like that. Yeah, when I went to do the paperwork, I talked to Miss Vixen, Madam Vixen, about it. And yes, she is on your paperwork. And it is for good reason, kiddo.
Yeah, I'm very lucky to have her. And to have everyone at the studio and all of it too.
It's because you earned it, kid.
No. I don't think like this is really something you can earn,
Got me there. And Bon sort of like, as you guys are walking, puts their wing sort of partly around you. Not enough to be suffocating, but definitely sort of gently tucking you against them. And do you have anything else?
Yeah, as they continue walking, Cell actually goes, but I wouldn't say you would never mess with me about something like that. I mean, you did write your name down as well.
Oh, kiddo. And Mersel, Bon reaches over and like sort of thonks their head into yours and then gives you like sort of a noogie.
Hey, quit it. My hair.
Oh, Starboy, don't change. And yeah, is there anything else, Vamp? Because this has been a delight.
No, I think that's all. I think that's it.
And then I would like to say, let's together. I'm going to. Do you want to roll a d20 or shall I?
Why are we rolling a d20?
Just roll me a d20. I wanna see something. A 9. Okay. As the scene begins to sort of do the zoom in and turn to a dot sort of thing around our intrepid duo, it all of a sudden booms back out because as they come upon Dodo Studios, there is a window open by the kitchen, and there is definitely smoke coming out of it. And then the camera winks out, and the FPS is over.
Oh my god, please tell me that before the camera winks out, the fire alarm starts to go.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
I can't fucking believe this.
Just very much the cartoonish, they both stop dead and like someone puts their hands on their head and like jumps in the air like ah. But yes, thank you all for coming to this Toonkind at 12 FPS. It has been an absolute delight doing this with you, Vamp. It was very soft and definitely what I think both of them needed. And thank you, everyone. And we do our bow and good night.
Good night. Thank you for listening. That was really fun, Audio. Thanks for having the FPS with me.
Yes, it was great. It was really, really good.
It is soft. It is soft.
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 Mm-hmm.